Okay, everybody, here we go again, once again, paying tribute to one of the great ones, one of the great icons, one of the great pioneers of rock and roll, metal, music, a great social icon. So much to say about Ozzy Osbourne. Damn, man. So, let me give you a little bit of context, all right? The last 6 weeks or so, I've been in camps. I've been bouncing around from one camp to another. What a lot of you don't know about me is that I spent a lot of time in camp as a relief chef, and I would go from one camp to another. One chef needs to go out, another chef needs to go out, and so on and so on. Sometimes it's a week at a time, sometimes it can be a long time. And now that it is fire season, especially fire season way up in northern BC, northern Alberta, lots and lots of fires, lots of camps, lots of work. So this is that season. So I'm bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth. 6 weeks go by. And now it's like my head pops up above the surface. I'm on the bus and I'm driving back. I get a signal on my phone, and now I'm back in civilization, right? So as we're coming down the Alaska Highway, and then we get into the Fort Liard area between Yukon and BC, I click on all of the hundreds of messages that I had and stuff like that. One particular face that was of interest to me is one of my favorite YouTubers, right? Michael Nolan of The Bottom Line. And so I click on his face, and this is what greets me. Right? So that's the very, very first thing that I see once I get a signal on my phone. So, the great Ozzy Osbourne has left us, another great, great icon. One of these great, fantastic people. Whenever they leave, it's a serious, it makes you stop, makes you sit and assess your life, sit and assess life in general, the world, and how our identity where music is concerned is just slowly eroding because we're losing so many of these icons. And when it happens one after the other, it's crazy to me, So anyway, when you're isolated for 6 weeks and you're grinding, your working time is flying by, you miss a lot of things. Brian Wilson died, Sly Stone died, Connie Francis died, one of my favorite actors from the 80s, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable, he died. So it's like, wow, I'm getting all of this information. So what does Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath mean to me? So much, man. And I'm going to share that with you throughout. So this is what we're going to do. First off, give a shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, Michael Nolan. Thanks for Michael. And what we've got here is Michael making an announcement, and then it's going to be followed by Fox News, John Roberts of Fox News. He's known as JD Roberts back in the day, host of the New Music. A lot of you don't know that. And he's talking about his experiences with Ozzy and also making the announcement. And then Black Sabbath 1970 NIB, followed by my, I would say probably my favorite Black Sabbath song, War Pigs. And it's got a lot of meaning to me, and it's got a lot of history. So that's the roundup. Thank you very much to Al Petreni for sending me these links. Thank you, Al. Al is one of, I would call my original 6. He's been with me from the very beginning. He's got my private email, and he's got direct access to me. So I usually get notes like this from people who have my private email and who've been with me from the very, very beginning. I've been doing this, y'all, since 2018. Can you believe that? Anyway. let's not preamble before I get started. This is some sad shit, bro. All right. Michael will lead us into it, and then followed by Fox, and then the performances from 1970. Ozzy Osbourne. Let's get it.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Nolan. Just got some disturbing news merely days after Black Sabbath performed their final show of all shows, the Back to the Beginning concert. Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. I'm absolutely stunned by this news. Now, I usually stream on Wednesdays. I'm looking into getting a stream going tonight. I'll let you know. I'll get all that information up to you as soon as possible. It'll be a way for all of us to say our final farewells to Ozzy Osbourne, former singer for Black Sabbath, who just passed away, evidently passing away in his sleep by the message by his family. Join me tonight. It'll be maybe at 5, but I'll let you know as I get ready for this special stream.
Michael, I'll watch your stream as
again, the sad news to report that the former frontman from Black Sabbath and then Ozzy Osbourne as a solo artist passed away today at the age of 76, according to reports. I first met him back in 1985 at the Rock in Rio Festival, then again in 2008.
Rest in peace to you,
I'm going to get some pictures of those. We'll try to get those up. Let's go to Jeff Paul right now. He's got a little bit more on this. Jeff, what do we know? We don't have Jeff at this point. Sorry. Sandra. How about Sandra? We've got Sandra. Sandra, I don't know how much of a fan you were, but certainly he was all over the place between music and the TV show. The Osbournes, real rock icon, and this really is the passing of a legend.
He really crossed generations when he went into the reality TV show, where his family opened up their home and their lives to the cameras, and everybody got to know them better. And his daughter Kelly. Apparently, he was on a stage less than 3 weeks ago, a throne on stage at Villa Park. Yeah. So he was still out there. The statement from his family reads, "It was with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love." And his family, as we can all picture it from the cameras being opened up in their household, they had very tight relationships, all of them, and he was obviously an incredibly talented musician, John.
He was, you know, and any aspiring guitarist, you see Tony Iommi there in the middle, any aspiring guitarist wanted to play the Black Sabbath riffs from Iron Man and Paranoid and others. You know, some controversy associated with Ozzy as well when he just first went solo after leaving Black Sabbath. I saw him at the Rock in Rio Festival in 1985, and he tore the roof off of the place. It really was quite amazing. Jeff Paul is live in Los Angeles for us now. He's got a little more on this for us, Jeff.
Well, yeah, John, nicknamed the Prince of Darkness, John Michael Ozzy Osbourne has passed away just weeks after he reunited with his band Black Sabbath about 2 weeks ago. According to Sky News and a few other sources, the heavy metal star says that he died surrounded by love. He had long battled Parkinson's disease. His family released a statement saying, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect our family privacy at this time." Sharon, Jack, Kelly, Amy, and Louie. He is considered a pioneer in the heavy metal music genre, obviously forming Black Sabbath, which included the hits like Iron Man, Paranoid, War Pigs, and Crazy Train. He eventually branched off for a solo career, singing hits like Mama, I'm Coming Home, Mr. Crowley, and No More Tears. The 76-year-old, as we had mentioned, had just played with all the original members of Black Sabbath for a final show in Birmingham, England, which is where he was born in 1948. Really hard to put into words what he meant to not just heavy metal music and rock music, but just music in general. I mean, I can remember when I bought my first copy of a Black Sabbath album, Paranoid, and I just played that record nonstop. Really hard to believe he's not with us anymore, John.
It really is. I mean, he was an icon of icons, and we're all saddened to hear that he developed Parkinson's disease. He stepped away from touring. He did come back with the band a little bit in recent weeks, but he obviously had a lot of problems over his life. The first time that I met him, he had just come out of the Betty Ford Clinic. And he told me a story about how everybody is the same at the Betty Ford Clinic. He said that he was hoovering the rugs, meaning he was vacuuming the rugs there, cleaning the toilets as well. That's the way that it was back in the Betty Ford Clinic. He had some personal struggles, clearly, but obviously was just such a huge impact, not only in the music business, but the television business as well. And Sandra, when you look at him, and the entire family, and Sharon became an icon as well. I mean, this is a guy who transcended music and really was just an eminent figure in pop culture.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Okay, Sean. 1970. This is how I remember Ozzy. This is how I think of this performance. I'm talking too loud, aren't I? I love this part. What's incredible to me is during their live stuff, they still hit on every single note, every nuance, just like in the studio, but live. Only one other band in my mind is really, really good like that, and that's Rush. Great Tony. Listen to that bass groove, just holding everything together. I can't see Butler or Geezer, but I can certainly hear him. There it is. Fantastic.
Been a number now called War Pigs. It's a number of our new LP. Hope you like it. Thank you.
God, I hope this makes it onto YouTube. They've been kicking the hell out of my tributes lately, so. They're so on point, aren't they? You think about the live versus the studio, they're hitting every beat.
Candles gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. In the fields of bodies burning, turning. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. Say, where you go, who the war pigs people know. Oh Lord, yeah.
Taking some liberties with the lyrics. Oh, Lord. What the hell, man? I would love to see a playoff between Bill, John Bonham, and Keith Moon. Look at them. After you see a performance like this, there's no way you can't fall in love with these guys, especially Ozzy. I don't care what your position is.
On the scene of Beast appears, head is falling at his knees. He sends out Europa, casts the priest into the fire. Praise for all bad sinners. Watch them eating dead rats in the saying wherever you go, through black masses people go. Oh Lord, yeah.
Bill, what did those drums ever do to you, man? It's like they owe you money. Excellent. This little instrumental passage, it's got a name, right? Isn't it something Luke's Ladder or something like that? Let me know. You know what I'm talking about. Excellent. Look how busy Geezer is on that bass. Then there's Bill. What a fantastic performance. That's it, y'all. When I think of Ozzy, when I think of Black Sabbath, my mind's eye goes back to 1970, that performance in Paris. That's them at their, well, I won't say best, but that's just them at their freshest, you know. And man, I tell you, it makes an impression on you if you're seeing that for the first time. Whether you are a fan of the heavy rock sound or not, you've got to admit that these guys have skills. They're talented, they're cohesive, the front man is charismatic, and he is really pulling you in and drawing you in, right? And the music's got something to say to you if you're paying attention and listening. I want to talk about that in a sec. That's very, very important. My history with Black Sabbath so much surrounds the song War Pigs. It was the very, very first Black Sabbath reaction that I did. It was the second song that I reacted to when I started my channel. Fortunate Son was the first. War Pigs by Black Sabbath was the second. And there's only a handful of you. I call you guys my Suicide Six, but there were more than six. But that was the song that started it all off, where it comes to my relationship and appreciation for Black Sabbath. And yeah, man, War Pigs for me is, to me, is it my favorite Black Sabbath song? Not sure. But for me, it's the most important Black Sabbath song to me. You listen to the words, you think about what was going on back in the day in those times. And these guys forging their own path, going down a very, very heavy route, and they were like, formed in 69? And then they made their debut in 70, I believe it is. So Ozzy was recruiting everybody, I believe in 68, something like that. But yeah, their rise, considering the type of music that they were offering back then, was really quite something, and being able to travel and go abroad and do their thing, with that heavy metal sound, you can tell that was quite an accomplishment in itself, because they were battling forces, y'all, so to speak. They were battling forces of people's opinions and, just the fact that they had long hair and, the grunginess of the guitar and everything like that. And then Ozzy's zany sounding voice. I mean, go back in time to when you first heard that voice, the impression it had on you. So they had so much that could have been working against them and was probably trying to push against them. And then, the whole realm of the element of darkness. I can't remember what I was reading, but Ozzy was saying that the only black magic that he practices is eating a box of chocolates. Love that. Love that. So, let's do this, y'all. Let me do just a quick read. I'm all about structure. And let's do a quick little read for those of you who might not know this part of Ozzy Osbourne. Lots of younger folks might be watching this. I'm surprised to actually learn that there's quite a few young people that watch my tribute. So for you young folks that don't know, as I call the real Ozzy, here it is. Ozzy Osbourne. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, born December 3rd, 48 to the 22nd of July, 2025, was an English singer, songwriter, and media personality. He rose to prominence during the 1970s as the lead vocalist of the heavy metal band Black Sabbath, during which period he adopted the name Prince of Darkness. Osbourne became a founding member of Black Sabbath in '68, providing lead vocals from their eponymous debut studio album in 1970 to Never Say Die in 1978. The band was highly influential in the development of heavy metal music, in particular their crucially acclaimed releases Paranoid, Master of Reality, and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. He then began a successful solo career with Blizzard of Oz in 1980 and released 13 studio albums, the first 7 of which received multi-platinum certifications in the US. He reunited with Black Sabbath on several occasions. He rejoined in 1997 and helped record the band's final studio album, 13, in 2013, before they embarked on a farewell tour that ended with a 2017 performance in their native Birmingham. Osbourne sold over 100 million albums, including his solo work and Black Sabbath releases. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath in 2006 and as a solo artist in 2024. I'm gonna bite it because I'm doing a tribute reaction. So I am not going to say anything about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right now. Let's leave it alone. Read on, Wayne, read on. He was also inducted into the UK Music Hall of Fame, both solo and with Black Sabbath in 2005. He was honored with stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Birmingham Walk of Stars. At the 2014 MTV Europe Music Awards, he received the Global Icon Award. In 2015, he received the Ivor Novello Award for Lifetime Achievement from the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers, and Authors. Wow, so many accolades, and I remember, the pushback, and again, I'm not going back into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, taking so damn long to induct Black Sabbath, but yeah, despite all of that, so many accolades, amazing. On the 5th of July in 2025, Osbourne performed his final show at the Back to the Beginning concert event amid ongoing health issues, having announced earlier in the year that this would be his last live performance, though he intended to continue recording music. Osbourne died 17 days later on the 22nd of July, 2025. Legacy. Osbourne was considered an icon of hard rock music and one of the founders of heavy metal music through his work with Black Sabbath. He disliked being categorized as metal, stating that while his band plays heavy, other bands that are considered metal are really heavy. When you get pigeonholed with a certain genre, it can be very difficult to do something a bit lighter or an acoustic track or whatever you want to do. Back in the day, it was always just rock music. It's still just rock music to me. Outside of music, Osbourne and his family's show The Osbournes is considered to be a pioneering program in reality TV in an era that did not focus solely on celebrity family life. Osbourne died on the morning of the 22nd of July 2025 at the age of 76. A family statement confirmed that he was surrounded by his family at the time of his death. Okay, y'all. And that is a quick read of the great Ozzy Osbourne. I really appreciate these. I want to call him a pioneer because he had a vision and he went out and he launched himself, not having kind of like a clear idea of the path maybe. Or maybe he did have a really clear idea of the path, but he knew that going in a certain direction, he was going to experience a whole host of different things, especially in the kind of music that he probably wanted to create and the backlash that he would get. And so that's what I mean by the unknown. But he went out and he started to assemble a group of guys that would jive with what he wanted to create. And I believe that the story is that he ran an ad, and I don't know if they all showed up at the same time, but I do believe that the story goes is that he just ran an ad, and shortly after he had a band, so but these members turned out to be the real ones, and I'm sure he said to himself, okay, we are going to go places. I'm going to be going places with these three guys, and then history. They started making history right away, immediately, right out the gate. All of these fantastic songs, War Pigs, R.I.P, Fairies Wear Boots, I believe The Wizard was The Wizard part of the debut album. I can't go that far back in my mind, but man, such a great assembly of songs that still are so well received and prominent. You listen to rock radio and one of their songs come on, you listen, don't you? There are some songs that can just go through one ear and then out the other, and then some songs that it's notable and you take time to really tune in and listen. And Black Sabbath songs have that impression on you, that feel on you. That song, where it comes to, I'll tell you this story. I'm kind of struggling with it a little bit. So War Pigs, when I first listened to it, it was a string of what I would call the anti-war phase of my channel when I first started. And I kind of got that impression about the song in the beginning that, he was making a statement, they were making a statement with their music about the environment, about the war, about all of these different things. And I remember when Black Sabbath became Artist of the Month. And it was a big deal because it was locked between, I remember this, man, The Doors and Aerosmith. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, like in the last 3 days, Black Sabbath just came rushing through, and they became Artist of the Month. And I was like, wow, right? And so, guys, let me know if you remember this shit. I mean, you've had to have been with me from the very beginning. I'm going all the way back to 2018 when I used to do Artist of the Month. And so they became Artist of the Month. And one reaction alone still stands to this day as being one of the biggest one. When I was doing a couple of reactions, and I believe it was Paranoid was a part of it. I think it was a quad. But long story short is this. I remember the comment section. I remember when people were coming in, these so-called Christians were coming in, talking about, oh, you are demonic yourself, and your viewers are demonic themselves, and all of this sort of fire and brimstone, you're gonna roast in the lake of fire, and all of this sort of stuff, right? And it was a crazy time. The comment section blew up, and people were just going back and forth, back and forth. And these so-called Christians really showed what they were all about, right? They certainly weren't coming with good tidings and love, let me tell you. And they got to the point where they started to insult people's moms and shit. And you know what I had to do for the first time? I had to go and do a Google search. How do you block a whole bunch of people? And my first great blocking was the blocking of a bunch of Christians who were just spitting all kinds of toxic stuff. And there's like 30, I remember the exact number, there were 33. I blocked 33 of these so-called Christians at the same time. It was my very, very first blocking, right? Christians of all people. So I'm not saying anything negative about Christians. I was brought up in a Christian environment and whatnot, right? But come on, there are some good Christians and there are some shitty ones. So another, over Black Sabbath, another thing that I had was one time I was confronted by an old military buddy's mom. She's this 75-year-old matriarch. Well, she's 82 now. She's this matriarch of her church environment and her family and everything like that. And my buddy, he is amazing, military guy-wise. He is the guy that you want to be with you when you're in battle and that sort of thing, because he will not flinch. He is that guy. But when you put him in front of his mom, he becomes as docile as a bull that had his balls extracted, just as docile as the cows in the field. And I would look at Daryl and I would be like, what a change from the combat Daryl. And now you put him in front of his mom and he is this docile creature. Anyway, his mom confronted me once in front of like the whole family. We were doing this little barbecue thing. And she says, stuff like, I thought that you were a man with more sense. I thought that you were, raised in a Christian environment. I thought that you were a lot better than this, listening to Black Sabbath and War Pigs, and she listed a whole bunch of different artists, and she was talking about Led Zeppelin's Lemon Song, and oh my God. And she was just going off on me in front of everybody. And, I let her listen to what she had to say. And then I kind of, did my rebuttal. Didn't turn out very well. Later on, another time when I went to pick Daryl up, this is just a week or so after the fact, she answered the door. And I'm like, Maggie, you're not Mrs. Clark to me anymore. You're just Maggie. So she answers the door, man. And her girlfriend, Alice, is over there, right? There's a couple of other of their little hens in the background type of thing. They're like, it's just Wayne, right? Obviously, Maggie has been saying shit about me. So I got tired of that. And so the alpha male, big bald Wayne came up. And I said, Maggie, sit down. Sit your ass down. You and I are going to watch this together. We're going to listen to this song. And I don't want you to look at the performer. I don't want you to have the image in your mind. I want you to listen to the words, right? You claim to be a Christian, right? Yeah. Well, sit your ass down and listen. I sat down with her and Alice. The girlfriends were kind of like off to the back, kind of like looking. And we listened to War Pigs together. And after that, I said, so, have you deciphered? Have you really paid attention to the words? And she's like, yeah. It actually has a good message. It isn't just my first impression. And, thank you for kind of like, insisting that I listen to it. And that's been our relationship since. Over Black Sabbath, over this song. So, if you were to ask me, what does this band mean to you? What does this song mean to you? I could tell you a lot, right? I just told you a whole bunch. But look, man, the great Ozzy Osbourne, a fantastic performer, a great deliverer of an excellent music, especially in a time when, the world was in a lot of uncertainty. The Cold War was happening. The war abroad overseas was still happening. There's a whole bunch of things. And so this song came at a time, and the band and their music came at a time where I think that it really helped to take attention away from all of that noise that was going on over here. One of you old cats, not just one of you old cats who were around back in those days, to observe all of this, to understand how important this music was. I know there's a bunch of you. Let me know who you are. Give me an account of your observation at the time, your feeling at the time, and the music at the time coming in, notably the Black Sabbath music with a message behind it. Those of you who were sharp enough to pick it up, right? Tell me what your feelings were back then. Giving that environment of uncertainty that you're in. It's a very, very interesting time, It's a funny comparison, but my friend and I were talking about superheroes. Well, supervillains. You've got the rise of a supervillain, like the Red Skull, right? But at the same time that happens, you've also got the rise of a superhero who will neutralize that supervillain. So Captain America, right? And when you have the rise of all kinds of environmental things that threaten your sanctity, threaten your peace, threaten your very existence, you've got the rise of people who will come with you with a nice message, a nice calming message of faith and delivery and all of these different things. Now, you might not be thinking of Black Sabbath as deliverers of peace or a good message, but if you do a deep dive into their music like I did when they were Artist of the Month, you're going to see these patterns. You're going to see these patterns in their delivery, in their message. There are key notes in their songs if you take enough time to listen to it. And this was right there, guys, the foundation of my channel, the reason I launched my channel. Because I didn't want to be ignorant about things, and I was ignorant about rock music for a long time. Why? Because I was brought up on Soul Train, and my friends and all of these people, you know, it was the R&B and all of that sort of thing, and I had a fear of judgment from my group of friends. What are you listening to that stuff for? You're black. You're not supposed to listen to rock and roll, shit like that, right? And of course, I was scared of not being able to date certain girls and all of that sort of thing. All of that stupid shit, right? So when I finally kind of like woke up, I said to myself, I've been fooling around and humming and hawing and raising an eyebrow of interest about rock and roll for a long time, but I haven't done anything. I got to do something about it. Metaphorically, it's like a really, really nice, pleasant neighbor who's always waving at you from across the street. But in 30 years, I had not taken a walk across the street to reach my hand out and greet. And that's the same relationship I had with rock and roll. So I said, okay, YouTube is the platform. Create a channel, plant my ass down with no distractions, no stupid friends, nobody to chirp in my ear about what are you doing that for, you're black, all of this nonsense, and just soak it in. And that's what I did. And the rest is history. 2018 till now, I'm still here, damn. Anyway, guys, look. This could be a reminiscing tribute reaction. I don't want to go off talking too long, but this band, this artist, this gentleman means a lot to me. Yes, I wasn't brought up in rock and roll, but damn, man, you can't deny the impact that they've had on the music genre on a whole. Everybody knows who Black Sabbath is. A lot of people don't know that Ozzy was the front man, so there you go for some of you, you know, because he's got fans from a different genres, different age categories and whatnot. So that really, really goes to show of the greatness of the man. His music will definitely live on forever. And think of that. Oceans and oceans of generations of fans will come after this and discover the music and really embrace it and like it for what it is, the musicianship, like it for what it is, the message behind it, and the charismaticness of their great frontman, Ozzy Osbourne. So, to the Prince of Darkness, sir, I salute you. Thank you for all of the good music. Thank you for your wonderful personality on your show. I didn't even talk about his show. I'm just focusing on the music. But yeah, all around, a really, really good, solid citizen. And it's a great loss for entertainment on a whole, but especially for modern music on a whole. Whenever one of these great influencers pass, a little bit of us passes with them. You know, it's the changing of the times. And now we realize that music like this will never, ever come about again. Never, ever exist again. Except if somebody, a billionaire, puts a TV show together, a series, a music series. Follow me now. If Elon Musk says, do you remember back in the day when we had that competition for INXS for a new lead singer? I think it was called Rockstar INXS. If Elon Musk, for example, did something like that, where he says that he wants to reestablish that great classic rock sound of the late 60s and the 70s and part of the 80s, right? You've got a singer, a guitarist, a bassist, and a drummer, and maybe a keyboardist, and you give them instructions, 20 bands. You've got a couple of weeks, create that classic rock sound, right? And you have a band playoff. Could you imagine? That would be a fantastic resurgence of that classic rock sound, wouldn't it? It's capable. It's possible. It still exists in a format like that if you would allow it. I'm not telling Elon Musk or billionaires what to do with their money, but if I had a couple of billion, that's what I would do. Classic rock cannot die. It should not die. And if you've got that kind of money and you appreciate modern music and the contributions to our society that classic rock has given us, you should do something like that. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, that's just kind of like going into the realm of my my fantasies and stuff. So, the great Ozzy Osbourne, thank you for your wonderful contributions to classic rock, sir. So, everybody, forgive me, I'm a little bit under the weather and I'm still recovering from this nagging cold. So, I'm going back into camp. And I don't know when I'm going to see you again. So, in another couple of weeks, when I re-emerge, I hope that we haven't lost another great icon. So fingers crossed with that. But having said that, take care, everybody. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. It was good to see you. Sadly, not on this note, but good to see you all the same. I'll watch your stream as I head back to camp. I got a long-ass bus ride, man. So fly into Edmonton, hop on a bus, 17-hour bus ride. Fort Liard, Grand Prairie, Fort Nelson, Fort Liard, Alaska Highway, Columbia River, and just up and up and up, man. Lots of forest fires going on. And they can't choppers in this time, so it's got to be by bus. Anyway, y'all, when I come back out of camp, hope and pray that some of our great folks are still with us and that we, I don't know, I just want to preserve these great people, because knowing that classic rock is, I won't say on its way out, but it's in a very stagnant state. I want to preserve these great artists as long as we've got them. Appreciate them for as long as we've got them. That's basically it. So you guys have yourselves a good one. Take care. And I'll see you. Well, hopefully you won't see me in a couple of weeks. I'll be back out in a couple of weeks, and prayerfully, fingers crossed, no one else has passed, because we're entering into that season, aren't we? All right, y'all. Have a good one. Peace.